Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to Fishin. Alright, just making sure I wasn't a cop. It is very early right now. It's 4:45 and we are on our way to a spot right now. We're going fishing, get some fishing accomplished. And yes, well, this is my last full week planned upstate, so I'm really trying to go out on a high note. And yesterday was almost the high note I was looking for. Check this out. Oh my god. Oh my god, did you see that? Oh. Come on. That looked like a brown. Yeah, that was probably an 8 to 10 pound brown trout. That's the one fish I'm really trying to get back on before I leave. These things have been elusive to me. I've hooked a couple up here. They always get off, or I never hooked them in the first place like that fish. Not that I haven't caught a brown trout before, but I've never encountered a quote-unquote mega brown. And I know that fish wasn't huge, but it was really nice. And you know, my PB brown, as it stands right now, is like not even 5 pounds. So it'd be nice to try and encounter something much bigger if possible. So that's what we're gonna try and do today, amongst other things. So we're getting out to this spot and we might try a little trolling, though it's not the ideal way to go about it. We'll do some jigging. I figure my window of opportunity for these fish is really early morning, hence the reason I'm getting up obscenely early to do this. If it doesn't happen by 8 or 9 o'clock, we might shift to more of a laker bite or work the shallows. I don't know, but hopefully we don't have to make that decision. So we're gonna get out there and hopefully make some good stuff happen and get some fishing accomplished. Stay tuned. Very early, but it's nice. No one's on the road. Drive fast, get to the spot. Hopefully it's hot. We on the water for 6:30, which is good. Start things off a little troll. I got 2 setups. Got my Shimano 4000 flicker minnow. This one's just gonna stay on the surface level of the water. And we got another setup with lead core, also with a flicker shad. That one's gonna go a little deeper. And we got a little bit of a hike, but see if we can find any fish in shallow. If we hook up, we will get the camera on. So after about 15 to 20 minutes of trolling, I got to the spot that I wanted to focus on. I was pulling some marks, particularly above structure and right along major drop-off. Marked a few fish, also some large schools of bait, and I tried to jig them up. I had some hits that I think were small lake trout, but aside from that, I wasn't really doing anything with the jig, so eventually we got back to trolling. Couldn't jig them, so we are back on the troll. And hopefully we'll soon be on a roll of fish. Got one that's just straight line, probably diving down about, I don't know, 10 to 15 feet. And then we got the lead core set up here, which we're trying to hold about 20 or so, over 40. See if we can pick something up. Fish on. Oh, I hope this is what I hope it is. Feels good. He went for the non-lead core, in case you're wondering. That's a brown. Big brown. Big brown. Oh my god, yes. We did it. We did it. Woo! What a mess. What a mess. But we did it. Jumbo brown. Jumbo brown town. All right, this is a mess. All right, let's try not to lose any tackle. All right, folks. What a mess. God, this fish made such a mess. But let's get a look. look. Oh my God, look at this fish. What a brown. What a brown. That's the brown we've been looking for. We're gonna have to keep him. He's pretty messed up and got me all sorts of tangled, so let's get him in the stringer and hopefully sort out the mess. I had to harvest that fish. That thing got me more tangled than any other fish I've ever honestly gotten in this kayak. Oh boy. And he might look lively now, but he was bleeding out a lot, so let's get a measure. He's about, I'm doing it backwards, but that's a solid 24.5-inch fish, but he is thick. So he is going to make for an interesting catch and cook, likely my last one for freshwater for a while. But yeah, we're going to bleed him out and see if we can get another. I don't plan to keep any more of these things, so see how it goes. All right, so we got both setups going again. We have our non-lead core, which has a bigger version of this flicker shad. I want to say it's like 4 inches. And then on the lead core, we have a smaller flicker shad. And that one's out 3 colors, so probably like 21 to 25 feet. Actually a little bit too shallow right now. But we are trolling it around 45 to 50 feet of water, so see if we can get another couple fish, but I don't plan on keeping anything else unless it is mortally hooked or much smaller. But yeah, that was cool. After many misses, we finally got on a fairly decent, well, we got our brown trout. I would have preferred to have jigged him up like the one I missed yesterday, but you know what, I'm not going to complain. Happy to finally get one in the boat and not get hooked myself, because that thing came pretty close. So let's see if we can get another. Just had a series of good hits that missed. Fish kept hitting at it, kept missing. Had to reset the lure because it got all tangled around the bill. That one came on the lead core, about 25 feet over 50, trolling at about 2.5 knots. Going back over it to see if we can get him again, and we'll leave the camera on just in case he decides to grab the limelight. The camera off, and we just hooked up on the lead core. Let's see what we got. Feels like maybe salmon. Feels nice. Hit the salmon, we'll keep it. But I'm done with browns. Running. What is this? Small salmon. Not bad. Oh yeah, that's a salmon. Oh yeah, we eating good tonight. Woo! Winner, salmon dinner. Yeah, it's salmon, it's not a trout. Damn. Blows the last one I got out of the water. Nuts. He unhooked himself, cool. Just get him out of the net. Nice landlocked. Alright, let's get out of the sun so we can get a good pick. Proper salmon right there. Not huge, but gonna make a nice dinner. Nice and thick too. Nice and thick. Whew. All right, let's get him on the stringer, and then we'll get a measure. He's easily over 20. I'd say this fish is probably 22 or 23. right, in case you're wondering, again, this fish is going. He is 23 on the dot. Cool. All right, so we just got our second fish that we're harvesting today, a nice 23-inch landlocked Atlantic salmon. Those two fish alone will probably do it. I don't plan on keeping anything else unless we get something that's gonna die. What would be cool is if we can get like a Finger Lakes salmonoid slam, which could be done at this lake. So that would mean rainbow, laker, salmon, and brown. We got the brown and the salmon, which actually are typically the harder ones to get. What would be cool is if we can get the rainbow and the laker. I'd imagine I could probably get a laker here. It might take a little bit of digging, but it can happen. But yeah, that one came on the lead core, the smaller flicker minnow. That was down about 3 colors, so 25 or so feet. Trolling at about 2.5 miles an hour. And yeah, I know this is kind of lame. I'd much rather jig these fish, but I'm just not that good at this style fishing. I got a lot to learn. I mean, I encounter these fish sometimes randomly, so it can be done, but I'm looking to finish off the freshwater solid, so let's see what we can do. Look at that, followed it all the way to the boat. Landlocker. All right, we just got that salmon. Basically, it was like right on the edge, 17, 18 inches, but he flopped out of the boat. That fish must have been following that plug for quite some time. I think I even had a few small taps as I was trolling, but I'm gonna drop down to one trolling outfit right now. So I am picking up some marks and some clouds of bait. So I'm gonna troll with the lead core, just like I was before. But if we see any larger schools of bait or obvious marks in the bottom, we're gonna stop and see if we can jig up something, just to prove our worth as a fisherman. All right, we're basically just gonna troll our way back. Hopefully we encounter another fish or two, but if not, we're just gonna get home and then start taking care of the fish that we got. Overall, not a bad session. Glad I finally got that brown trout. Been looking for him for, I could say this whole spring, but honestly, even last year too. And we got a nice salmon too, so we can even do a taste test between these two side by side, which would be exciting. See you in a bit. All right, so we are back. It's been a while since I've done a catch, clean, cook video, but here we are. We have our brown trout, about 25 or so inches long, weighed about 7.5 pounds, give or take. A little bigger than I wanted to keep, but it was just such a mess when this thing got in the boat. And I know I could have left him in the water, but this is the first one I've gotten out of this lake, and I've really been working hard for this fish, so I don't plan on keeping any more of these unless they're mortally hooked. But yeah, this is a brown trout, so this particular body of water, they get very large, and this actually isn't even that big considering how big they can get. But for me, this is a new PB, and I was very happy to get it. So I'm quite curious how this thing will cook up, because I don't remember the last time I kept one. So let's dig in. So we're just gonna clean this like any other trout. Just get right up to the body. And I'm already noticing that there is a little bit of color to the flesh. These things are stocked, but I believe there is some level of natural reproduction in the tributaries. Initial impressions, other than the flesh, which has a nice orange color. It's definitely a bit firmer than the lake trout, but I don't think it's necessarily as firm as, say, the rainbow trout we got. I'm gonna get some nice fillets off this though. Yeah, we'll do that part in a little bit. Let's flip them over. All right, just doing the same thing. work. Let's see if we can actually avoid that rib cage. All right, so here is the finished product. I'm gonna rinse it off once I get inside, but we took out the pin bones right there. Other than that, I mean, that's a solid piece of meat. We got 2 of them, plus the things we took off the carcass that we missed. So, I mean, this is a solid meal, and we're feeding multiple people, so very excited about this. Now I gotta clean that salmon, but I'll probably cook this tomorrow, and I'll probably cook a little salmon side by side so we can get a proper taste comparison when we finish this video. See you in a bit. All right, so we are back. It's a day later. Let the fish sit in the fridge, so it's still pretty fresh. But yeah, right here we have the brown trout, the landlocked Atlantic salmon. So we're gonna cook both of these up. This is really a video for the brown trout, as we haven't tested this one yet. But I figured it'd be fun to kind of compare it against the salmon, because everyone would think, oh, salmon's what's up, that's what we need to eat. But I have a good feeling that this brown trout's gonna be pretty good. Just a couple things before we do that. This is a much larger brown trout than the salmon. I ended up weighing it. The salmon was about 5 pounds. The brown trout was about 7.5 pounds. Not huge, but a nice fish. I didn't really want to keep a fish that big, but I was working hard for that fish, and I wanted to make sure I didn't lose it to get it in the boat. And it just got me so tangled up, so I had to get him in the boat. And he made a mess. It took forever to get him unhooked. But long story short, we're going to get these guys in. So if you follow me, we got our pan. Butter was cooking, and we're just gonna cook them right on the pan. Both fish are skin sides down. Left the skin on. And we're just gonna let those simmer for a few minutes, and we will come back and check them out and see how they cook up. All right, I think we had enough time on the pan, so we just put a little salt and pepper on it, nothing too fancy. Gave it a quick flip in the middle. We have the salmon and brown trout, so let's get that on the plate. There we go. Make sure we turn off the stove so we don't burn the house down. Small details. All right, so here we go. Salmon, brown trout. So yeah, let's get into this. I want to compare these two. So let's start with the brown trout. So it seems like it's got a nice flaky texture. I don't want to take too much because I think it's going to be pretty hot. Give it a little. Okay. Before I say anything, I want to now compare it with the salmon. Okay, so I had to think for a second, as usual, about how I would rate this fish, and also rate it against the salmon and even the other trout that we've kept so far. So the one thing I'll note, as I said before, this was a much larger cut of meat than the salmon. This was also a much larger fish. This had a nice flakiness to it. I would actually say this was very comparable to the texture that you would find at salmon at the store. The taste isn't there. It's definitely a different taste. Pretty mild. As I've been doing for all these catch clean cooks initially, I'm cooking them all the same way. So certainly when I cook the rest of this fish, we're probably going to throw it in the grill and give it a marinade. But by itself, it just is. It's not bad. It's not fishy. It's pretty mild, especially considering the size of the fish. That's really good. And this is the second salmon I've caught this year. One thing I was thinking as I ate this is the salmon flavor is much more subtle on this one than the small one. And that might just be because this salmon's been in the lake longer and it hasn't been in the hatchery. But I do recall that the smaller salmon had more of a salmony flavor than this one. But it's there. But it's good. I mean, I'd say I prefer this a little bit more than lake trout. Not by a ton, but it's a nice change of pace perhaps. And I also prefer this brown trout more than I preferred the stocky rainbow trout. So overall, very nice, and I look forward to throwing it on the grill and maybe applying some marinade to it later. But with that being said, this is likely the last freshwater catch clean cook that you're going to see for a while. The next one you see after that will likely be a saltwater species, and you got a lot of saltwater content to look forward to this summer with maybe a little freshwater stuff peppered in there. But thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, thank you so much. like the video, and leave a comment if you have anything you want to say, and tell me how I should be cooking these. I don't know. But thank you again for your time. More stuff to come soon. See y'all next time.